details, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it in this week. So let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 1. America is in need of some upgrades, and some people are trying new things to make those upgrades happen. An article in Popular Mechanics zooms in on America's plumbing codes and how they are based on 100-year-old data. This article could keep the discussion of upgrading America alive. Such updates include laws, roads, and bridges also. The article also focuses on the root of how lead enters the water stream. Big story. A teen launched a free online tutoring service for students in lockdown. Stories like these highlight how different methods of creativity spreads innovative thinking. Good story. Some college students have apparently taken on the responsibility of bridging the gap between farms and food banks by transporting food from the farm to the food bank to minimize waste as the coronavirus saga continues. Good story. The fact that Americans need upgrades and will always need innovation is what's keeping story number 1 alive, and it's the reason why it made it into the top 8 this week. Story number 2. America may have no choice but to adapt and reopen. Dr. Fauci is warning Congress about the negative outcome if states open too quickly. But as many states see budget cuts, some are starting to panic. Another headline, Simon Property Group plans to reopen more of its malls as states try to slowly get back to normal in the coronavirus saga. Another headline, after 2 White House aides test positive for coronavirus, President Trump is reportedly pushing even harder for the U.S. to reopen. As the economy takes big hits, many feel we have no choice. Keep an eye on this developing story. One business owner in Ohio reportedly put shower curtains up to comply with state orders. As states loosen up, businesses are trying their best to adapt with living with COVID-19. This story is developing because many businesses are still trying to adjust to mandates put in place by the state. As states try to open back up, they're trying to live with COVID-19. Some reports say Americans are now forced to decide on whether they should pay bills or buy food. That's not good news. Everyone is feeling the burn as America may be left with no choice but to adapt and reopen. Story number 3. Which one comes first? The business, the customer, or the worker? Some say that the laws are made to protect the little guys, but recent headlines have centered around how some corporations may become more powerful because of coronavirus. That means the weak usually fall off and the strong usually survive. One article by NPR talks about how many minority-owned businesses have been left out of the small business stimulus money. This is keeping this story alive. Minority-owned bookstores are also getting hit hard as well. There's another headline centering on what has been happening in the business, customer, and worker relationship. Many business owners who were forced to close and violated those orders have been in numerous headlines. A Colorado restaurant is now closed after hosting a crowd on Mother's Day. Elon Musk even made headlines after headlines surfaced about him opening up his California factory when he was supposed to remain closed. Stories like this keep popping up as states mandate that people shut down, but they need to make money and they're trying to get their point across by breaking the law. Walmart and Sam's Club reportedly plan to give out cash bonuses to hourly employees for working through the coronavirus, according to an article in USA Today. Mental health is still lingering amongst veterans, according to a report. This is in lockdown. This special report claims that veterans groups are screaming for help but are not being heard, apparently. Big story. Steak and Shake could be downsizing, and some could be shutting down as they plan to close 10% of their restaurants. The franchise has been around for a very long time. New laws set to end the monopoly inside the meat industry by opening up the market for small farmers to do business. This alone could help farmers stay afloat, feed families, and slow down waste. This is a big developing story. A Michigan judge made headlines after refusing to sign an order that would have shut down a barbershop who refused to close during lockdown. Stories like these are stirring the pot on what states can do inside of a crisis. Big headlines. A UK railway worker is dead after an infected traveler spit on her and infected her with the coronavirus, leaving the reality that many workers are still in harm's way. Big headline. Here's some more. Chicago mail carrier lost the fight against the coronavirus a week after she gave birth. This is a report by Fox News. Adding more fuel to the fire, Amazon workers are still making headlines as many are concerned about working conditions after another employee has died due to coronavirus. Story number 3 will probably stay alive and probably move up if these headlines keep making it inside of the news. Story number 4. Beware, hate crimes and other strange news keep making headlines. Big story. After the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, the focus on hate crimes is still alive. The man who recorded Arbery's shooting has reportedly been receiving threats, according to his attorney. Hate crimes have been all over the media and practically dominated the news some years back. These stories circulate in and out, but remain key talking points in America because of a dark history that keeps opening up old wounds. That means America is still healing and can't heal until we get these hate crimes under control. Trying to avoid traffic. This is a very strange story. A woman was seen driving on a veteran's grave. Well, she was driving on the graves of veterans at a Texas veteran cemetery. Very strange story. Another headline. A gunman is dead along with an elderly couple after a man reportedly started shooting at a Delaware veteran cemetery. Now, these are veterans, people who died serving this country. This is a big headline, and this story is still developing, but there's been some strange news circulating, and these stories are happening in strange times, as the signs of hatred and strange news just don't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. Well, I'm going to take a quick break. Mediation can be tough, but somebody's got to do it. I'll be right back with the top 4 international news stories that made it in this week. Don't go anywhere. You're the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it in this week. So let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 5. What nation will play the hero? Amid peace talks, 11 people were killed in a Kabul hospital bombing in Afghanistan. The Taliban has denied involvement in this attack that killed both mothers and babies on a maternity ward. Many of these war-torn countries are plagued by attacks on innocent civilians that often suck other nations into the conflict. It's a big headline. Here's another one. Islamic State leader Shahid Qarasani arrested in Afghanistan. That is a big developing story. ISIS reportedly planning to resurge in Iraq and Syria, one report claims. Lebanon has lifted its coronavirus fight by placing a total shutdown on its economy. This is not good news for a poor country in the fight for trust and stability. Here's another big headline developing story. The U.S. government may be underappreciated in some aspects of how it tries to provide when in a crisis, according to try to provide for its citizens. But some surveys still show that there's a lack of trust between taxpayers and officials. Another big headline that centers around who may be playing the hero inside of all these games or inside of all this coronavirus saga. The post-World War II agenda is looking mighty different, according to a BBC report focusing on how the world has changed since then. This is big news because it shows you how things has developed since that time frame, and it questions, is the United States still the big controller of this, of all of what goes on, or are there other countries emerging? This is what bumped this story up to number 5, because foreign affairs plays a big part in the day-to-day life inside of the United States. And as time goes on, people wonder which nation will play the hero. Story number 6. Is America divided in the fight for its life? Now, many remain divided when it comes to Trump's 4-year legacy, but some see justice in this fight to spark interest in topics that have long been ignored. It means Trump is sparking a different grassroots movement now. Now, while the United States fights the coronavirus, many don't see time to play politics, as many Americans are fighting for stability. Another headline: a New Jersey rabbi who sued the U.S. government along with other religious organizations is in the fight to practice their religion. They want to open back up. Now, it's stated in the Constitution that you have the right to practice your religion, but reports around this arrest of him violating orders is homing in on this one simple fact, that should people be allowed to practice their religion in a state of emergency or inside of a crisis? Adding a lot of fuel to the fire on, is the United States divided in the fight for its life? Another headline to keep an eye on: Trump is still showing frustration with the media along with many of his supporters after telling a reporter to ask China about coronavirus testing. This is a big story. It is evident, it remains evident, that the Trump camp is growing more and more frustrated with how the media reports on this president's style of leadership. Big headline that is developing. Steve Scalise says that House socialists should be going after China instead of small business owners. That's another developing story that adds to the saga. There are reports circulating about how students feel what they feel about colleges that got relief money that was supposed to help them out. Many students say they are not happy. That's another big developing story that is adding a lot of just meat to the topic inside of story number 6. CNN report claims that a customer shot 2 McDonald's workers when asked to leave while they were trying to comply with COVID-19 restrictions. So the workers were trying to do what they were told to do, and they were shot. Big headline. New details are creating new conversation about the Flynn case because of declassified documents, which is dragging the old administration, Obama's administration, back into the headlines. One report that a Michigan state representative had to be escorted by armed guards in the midst of the coronavirus lockdowns is making headlines. Protesters are protesting, and even state representatives are being caught in the crosshairs. Story number 6. Is America divided in the fight for its life? Very big story, and I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. It almost made it to the top 2. Story number 7, and the top 2 international news stories that made it in this week. The world has a new enemy, and it's worse than terrorism. Confusion, chaos, and more explains everyone in the fight to understand a virus that has taken the world by storm. The world wants to open back up, and many are afraid of the circumstances. It means people want to go back to normal, but this virus is changing that perspective of what normal is. That's a big, big headline. Prisons are still on high alert as cases continue to increase. Colombia has reported 859 cases of COVID-19 in one of its jails, and many prisons inside of the United States continue to report an increase in cases as well. This is a big, big developing story that just doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. It's also hitting the United States employment market. The U.S. unemployment claims passed the 30 million mark, and coronavirus is to blame. Enemy number one is the coronavirus. Story number 8, and the top international headline and developing news story that made it in this week. Who is going to pay for the new cost of living with the coronavirus? Big, big headline. Shanghai Disneyland has reopened according to a report by the BBC. This after China has seen a decline in COVID-19 cases. Many people want China to pay. The tension is getting stronger. Chinese investments inside the U.S. reportedly at its lowest level since 2009, according to an article in the USA Today. These tensions between China and the U.S. are heating up. Many world leaders are having doubts about choosing to lock down as economies take big hits. South Africa is one of those countries. Russia reportedly now has the second highest number of virus cases in the world. Big, big developing story. Democrats may be aiming for another stimulus bill as coronavirus lingers on. Democrats also look to cancel student loan debts due to the coronavirus. That's just a developing story that may hit more headlines. Many are still calling for more China investigations because of COVID-19. Somebody has got to pay for this mess. A bipartisan group is calling for $200 million in diaper assistance in the next rescue package, the next rescue bill, leaving the question of who is going to pay for all this. Big article in USA Today that lays out how the government prints money to keep the economy afloat has many uncertain about the limits of printing and spending money inside the United States. The question at present time is who is going to pay? This is a question that's still lingering. And the answer right now seems to be the United States government. But when asked who is going to pay the United States government, pretty soon a lot of people may be looking in the mirror. This is a big, big headline and developing news stories. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in this week. Those are our top 8 headlines and developing news stories. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines that keep us informed. You deserve all the credit. I'm just a mediator. If you want to show some support, you can go to our website by either buying something, watching something, clicking something, or just reading something, or you could just sponsor a program. Have a good week, everybody. I'm out of here. Whew. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. Go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program.